Hi, I'm Ben Eligbo with International Business Times UK, here at Silverstone to cover NetApp and Aston Martin F1 partnership. Today we will be interviewing NetApp's Chief Technology Evangelist, Matt Waltz, and the Vice President and General Manager of NetApp, Piero Gallucci, to ask them how NetApp joined the Aston Martin F1 team to pioneer a data-driven racing strategy.
Yeah, so the partnership, so we're in the third year of partnerships. It started in 2021. I think initially, and Matt, stop me if I'm wrong here, but initially it was a technology conversation, and I think was as this modern Formula One teams was being built. There was also a kind of requirement to look at how they were treating data and how they could put a modern architecture in place, which was going to position them for the ambition and success that we're looking to achieve, and which we're beginning to see now. I mean, Matt, you were around then. I don't know if you had a little bit more insight into how it came about, but it's the technology came before the partnership.
I think it's exactly that. I think it was the technology engagement to begin with, of what could we do to help Aston Martin with the challenges they had at the time. And then I think we all got just excited by the story and the opportunity. You know, Lawrence Stroll had this vision of being the #1 team in 5 years. And I think that was just so compelling for us. It was, well, we want to be part of that. But, there's not very often you get to work with a new team that has such incredible ambition. And that was just too much of a challenge and an opportunity for us to resist. Yeah, that's right. I think, you know, if you talk to the team at Aston Martin Formula One, what they'll say to you is they've had years of underinvestment. You know, they've been a number of different teams that have had different levels of investment, and they've built up a lot of legacy, a lot of different types of technology, different bits of technology. So I think for us, you know, one of the first stages for them was we need to help them simplify, modernize, you know, reduce the complexity, improve the reliability. So a lot of it to begin with was just, we need to just baseline, we need to start again and get them onto a modern platform that can help them then start to build what they want to do and build their success for the next 5 years. Yeah, so I think what's interesting for us is you have to think about it beyond storage, right? Storage is a mechanism to get data where it needs to be for you to be able to do something interesting, exciting, innovative with it. So I think when we think about the cloud, why would you put data into the cloud? Why would cloud storage be important? Because it unlocks that playground of incredible technologies and tools that the cloud is making available to us. So I don't think you look at it and say the future is cloud storage. I think you look at it and you say the future will be that people want to take advantage of these wonderful playgrounds of technologies and capabilities in the cloud, and therefore hybrid multi-cloud storage will be a fundamental enabler of that.
I think from a NetApp perspective, one thing, you know, we talk about ourselves as a data-centric, cloud-focused organization. The reason that we talk about that is NetApp has always been about the software. Right? It's always been about ONTAP and the rich experience that our customers derive from working with us, with ONTAP. Really, what we've done is we've looked to extend that capability out to the cloud, both as an extension of what we've done in the data center, but also as first-party cloud services as well. So all three of the main hyperscalers have their own offering, which is based around NetApp technology. It's their offering, but it's our technology. And I think for me, where this really leads off is customers increasingly want a level of standardization, but they want a level of choice. So if we can give them that same experience across multiple platforms, and they're free to consume different infrastructures where and when they feel that's necessary, that's got to be a really good place to be. It doesn't lock them into anything, but effectively allows them to take the benefits of standardization.
So if I'll pick up on it. ONTAP is the operating system that powers all of our storage devices, right? So when people think of storage, they think of a physical device, right? Yes, it is, but the intelligence is the software that runs within that device, and that's what ONTAP is. So what makes us unique? It's probably the most feature-rich storage operating system in the world today, and I can pretty safely claim that. We do file, we do block, we do efficiency, we do ransomware protection, we do, there's so much that the operating system achieves that I think puts it in front of other companies' technology. But then, as Piero said, we've been able to take that technology and bring that into Microsoft Azure, AWS, Google Cloud as their own first-party service. So now you've got that incredibly rich data services that people have been using on premises, hardened over 30 years, and that's now available to them in a consistent fashion across hybrid, single cloud, multiple clouds. And that for us, I think, is a huge differentiator for us. And it's what people are looking for. People want the freedom to do what they need to do in the cloud, but they want the confidence and the assurance of having that standardization of data services.
And a lot of companies that we're talking to, what they like is that we can join them wherever they are on their campus. Increasingly, we're seeing organizations recognizing that putting everything into the public cloud just isn't going to be viable. There's too many dependencies, and actually a lot of that cloud experience you can now recreate on premises as well. So I think having that operating system, having that control plane that can sit across multiple environments, whether it is traditional data center, whether it is one of the hyperscalers, is becoming increasingly attractive. And that whole ability to either go quickly or go slowly, depending on the pace of the organization, again, is very attractive. We're hearing that more and more. Yeah. So look, I think from a manufacturing perspective, we've moved the majority, if not all, of our manufacturing to Mexico because of a lot of the constraints we saw coming out of Asia through the pandemic. So that puts us actually in a very strong position with regards to our ability to deliver our products, deliver our solutions. I think overall, when I look at what's happening in the economy, particularly in the UK economy, there has definitely been a slowdown. I think we've all seen the impact of that. Not these little hyperscalers who've enjoyed that phenomenal growth. So there's a slight plateau, still growth, slight plateau. But there is still a very, very strong demand for our technology and our products, and I think we'll continue to see that because of the continued importance of data. That's only going to increase, right?
Yeah. In the fourth quarter of 2021, between the fourth quarter of 2021 and the fourth quarter of 2022, the external storage market was $7.5 billion in that quarter. Sorry, $6.5 billion in that quarter, which was a rise of 7.5%. So we're still seeing a reasonable growth in what people might see as a more traditional sort of on-premises market.
Is absolutely pride and love.
It is, I think, if we look to the beginning of last year, we were seeing energy prices of like 14-15 pence per kilowatt hour, and then you moved to the back end of last year, October, November time frame, and we were seeing those rise to 78 pence per kilowatt hour. I mean, that is just a phenomenal increase. So I think several things have happened. The introduction of QLC flash, which is more of a commercial grade, high capacity, lower cost flash, which does consume significantly less power. I think that's had a big impact. I think our ability to help people tier data to the cloud, back up data to the cloud, move applications into the cloud has also been a way of helping them sort of offset some of that impact. And then I think people have put more of a focus on understanding the data that they have. 68% of the data companies store is never ever used again after it's created. So again, I think people are now looking more at what do we do with the data we don't access, the data that we don't use. So, and all of those things are things we've been able to help with. And literally just yesterday, we announced a new product, the A150, which is the entry-level product in our range, and that consumes significantly lower power than any of the products from before, and about 2/3 of what our competitors' products at the same range are consuming. So, simple answer, we've been doing lots in the background because we recognize just how significant an issue this is for people. So the numbers are frightening, right? According to the National Grid, the UK is about 2% of the UK's electricity goes to data centres. They think that'll be about 6.5% over the next 3 to 4 years. In Ireland, it is 14% of their electricity, because a lot of the hyperscalers are based there. They're drawing it. So it's a huge focus for us, linked to power consumption. You know, the reason that we create emissions is because of the amount of fossil fuel created energy that we're creating. So the steps that we're looking at for companies, which is, you know, buy more efficient platforms, use more efficient technologies like QLC Flash, look for lower cost, lower power consuming systems that will meet the demand rather than buying the bigger ones that you think you can afford. Look at the data you've got and start to understand and make better decisions about what you do with it. You know, all of those things help. What are we doing in terms of the cloud providers? Because a lot of that technology, a lot of that power consumption is due to the cloud providers. Again, our storage technology in the cloud providers is bringing a lot of the efficiencies we've been developing over the last 20 years into their environments as well. So, and the final thing is we've been doing a lot of work around power monitoring and temperature reporting on our systems to give people, again, more information. If you can't measure it, you can't manage it. And right now, there is not enough measurement of these things being given to people so they can make better decisions about what they do with things. And we're addressing all of that. It's all of that. You know, I think it's use the right technology on premises, right? Use the right media types, use the right technology that's going to be the most efficient platforms that you can use for your on-premises system, and then monitor, and make sure that you're running at the right temperature, you're making the right decisions. Then it's also looking at the data and saying, which of this data belongs in which location? Let's make data locality decisions based on, yes, who needs it and latency, but where's the most efficient location for us to store this data? And then adding to that, 68% of the data we create is never ever used again. So we also need to help companies identify what's valuable, what isn't, and just make them more informed so they can make better decisions about what data they keep, what data they archive, heaven forbid, what data they actually delete, right?
Yeah, I think, I mean, you asked the question before about economic climate, and I think it's leading companies to do two things. Obviously, go to their various partners and vendors and try to how do they get a reduced price. They also look at different consumption models, how do they move CapEx to OpEx. And we're having a lot of those conversations now. We have a cloud offering called Keystone, which effectively is a way to consume our technology as a utility. But I think the really interesting part is when you start re-architecture, looking at how you re-architect where your data sits, you start to leverage some of the cloud products that we have in order to do that. Not just thinking of saving 10 or 20% by moving to a different consumption model. It could be reducing your cost by. I think companies need to start getting a lot smarter with how they treat their data.
There are four things that are absolutely core to our sort of values, I believe, and the things we want to bring. That is simplicity, saving, security, and sustainability. So most of what we want to focus on is how do we enable those things for all of the customers that we have. If I take that to Aston Martin Formula One, the first 2 years of our partnership was about simplicity savings. It was, let's put the platform in place that simplifies, standardizes, let's get the baseline in place. Now, what we're looking to for the rest of this year and into next year and the year beyond is security. How do we make sure that only the people who should have access to data here have access, that data isn't leaving, that data isn't under attack? And then how do we help them achieve the F1 goal of being net zero by 2030. So for me, I would say that's
where we're
going. Yeah, it brings a number of challenges and opportunities. When we think about AI, we are thinking about vast quantities of data. So we'll have that challenge that quite often the better the model you create will depend on the amount of data you're able to feed to it. So that's going to represent ongoing power sustainability challenges that we're going to have to think about. We're also going to have to think about what are we training the models with? Is the data that's being fed into the models contain sensitive information? Does it contain personal information? And again, that's things that we can look at. And then I think you've got the whole sort of next stage of this, which is the ChatGPT generative AI side of things. And quite frankly, we're right at the beginning of that journey. I think lots of the companies are starting to experiment with it. We've got to work out all of the things I've just said. We've now got to also work out what are the legal issues, what are the copyright issues, so I think AI is a positive force for good, but we still have to work out what are those kind of controls, the checks and balances that need to put around it to make sure that it's that people don't infringe on copyright or legal issues.
I think we'll see more companies creating their own version of ChatGPT, right? I think that's where this is going to go. And I see NetApp becoming increasingly more of a trusted advisor in that space. This isn't just about the underlying infrastructure, right? It's about data and how you're using data and how you're managing and architecting where data lives. So I think we're going to have an increasingly important part in how companies are setting themselves up for success.
So there you have it. NetApp is a cloud-led, data-centric software company that helps build a unique data fabric and securely deliver the right data to the right people, anytime, anywhere. Follow IBTimes UK for more news and updates.